Hello everyone, so welcome back to another stream. I'm doing it this way primarily because I just thought it might be a little bit easier and I might be able to interact with some people this way. So as you can see by the title of the stream, we're going to be trying to make sense of the walk to new home in 3D. The whole deal with this is there isn't much reference, and I wanted to see whether I could make sense of it or at least put out the ideas so that people could either agree or disagree. So what have we got going on? Well, the thing is, first off, we've got this really nice artwork, of which there are not many pieces for New Home. It's really weird. It's like we've got Asgore's castle in the background here with Frisk kind of waiting to go towards it, and I like all the buildings around it, because it gives a sense of scale and makes you really think about how big the final city or final area is, where some of the monsters live and where Asgore and Toriel lived at some point with Asriel and Kara. But then there's only like a couple of other pictures that really kind of help paint a picture of this place. There's this one, which is uncolored, but it's from a fanzine by Bentagia. I don't know whether I pronounced that right. Revenge and Car says, why, hello there. Hello. But this one looks good as well. This gives you an idea of what it could be like walking from the elevator round the side of the area. I really like it because, again, we get to see all the castle area. And even though this is just like standard line art, I really do like it. It gives a nice impression. And then the final one is kind of similar, where we're walking across almost like a rampart or a battlement around the entire city. I really like this because the castle's going to be over in the distance, but again, it's that whole look of like grandeur and stuff. And the reason why I'm highlighting this primarily is because when I go into Blender here, I could not figure this out for the life of me. Like, hang on, just let me actually drag this over. I'm going to not go into Blender just yet, but I'll explain why I was getting stuck and why I'm just looking for input from you guys. So you can't see it in the corner here. I've not actually got this fully scaled down. Let's just scale it a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So what we've got here is the map from Undertale, and I actually had to check this. It's slightly bigger in game, but we have in the bottom left. Hey Z, I'm just doing a open video to get an idea of New Home, and hopefully some people will agree with me and won't agree with me. So by all means, please chime in with ideas and stuff, because I kind of need them. But anyway, the idea is that I need to figure out how to make this in 3D, because as you can see, it's pretty much like the ruins. It follows the same pattern of having the walls around the outside, and then we go along this giant walkway in between buildings and stuff. And then that leads us into Asgore's area, which isn't his actual castle. It's just an area that looks suspiciously like home. And then we go all the way along where you would fight Toriel, but instead you keep going and you go past another long section where the monsters tell you the story. And then you go down into the Judgment Hall. And then after that, it's pretty much you're in the castle, right? Are you going to do the New Home models? Yes, I want to make it like the artwork that I've just shown off. If you've come in a little bit late, it's fine, because I'm basically just explaining, like, I want this grand setting, right? Because the way that I've worked things at the moment is I've done all of this already here in 3D. It's all good to go. One person has had the privilege, like the very special privilege of seeing this. And that's Z in chat. Z's the only one to see all of this so far, but for the ruins, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll reuse the models for the ruins and everything and what I've done, and I'll just desaturate everything, right? So I'm like, okay, I've got the inside and the outside done technically, but I need to figure out how to go from that to here, right? Why do I always get to see this first? I mean, you're special, you know. You're doing really good work at the moment, so I figure it's a very nice sort of surprise as well while you're busy doing some of the heavy lifting with voice acting work, you know. But yeah, the idea for this is I wanted to give it that very grand scale. The idea is when we first start in the ruins, I've made the ruins so you don't see the rest of the former civilization that the monsters have. Primarily because you only get to really see that like once in the ruins, whereas with New Home, you get to see it a lot more. And I thought, well, it would be special showing it off more in New Home because you get that sense of like with the ruins, it's supposed to be catacombs that are underneath everything else, and you only get that one shot of the rest of the area, and that kind of expands a little bit. But this makes everything feel more open, to feel more grand, but also more empty, you know? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, how do I do it? How do I do it? And then I end up looking at that artwork again and I'm like, okay, I want this big build up. Revenge of Kyle says I have to go soon because I have to help with my school make model. That's fine, that's fine. Hope that goes well. So I'm looking at this grand scale thing and thinking, you know what, I can do this. I can do like the castle. I can copy this if I wanted, you know. I'm looking at this other artwork and I'm being like, okay, I get the idea for it. But in my head, something's not clicking quite well with me. And I'm like, what is it? And it's everything else, like all the other buildings. I'm trying to get an idea in 3D of how to get this to look like this, but obviously I have to do it like ground level and stuff like that. So then I start thinking of other stuff and I'm like, okay, I'll go look at reference. So we've got like Crash 3 here. And this is going to sound crazy because immediately I've pivoted from looking at artwork to looking at an unrelated video game. But the reason why I go to Crash 3 is because I know it has a castle level and it has a special stage and it has something kind of like what I'm after if we watch this here without any audio. When I'm looking at this here, this is what I'm kind of reminded of, is this whole thing about moving across the side of like a wall. Imagine like when we come out first on the map, we come out like over here and there's an elevator door and there's like maybe a broken staircase over here. We've got a load of other like buildings underneath us. And the idea is you like slowly make your way across the battlements instead of like this where you've got all the wooden floor underneath. Instead, it's all stone. And the idea is that on one side it's walled off so you can't see too high over it, so I don't have to model on that side. But then on the other side is where we get to the crazy stuff where I'd have to go model like roads and individual buildings and things. So I'm looking at like inspiration for that as well and thinking to myself, what are the games that I know of that have like easy castle stuff that I can look at for reference? And the only other one that I could think of was Sonic and the Black Knight. And that again sounds crazy. All these transitions are going to be weird. But the reason I went to this is because Sonic and the Black Knight has a very comprehensive model of like the inside of a castle area. I think it's Camelot, as we can see here. But it's got like roads and buildings and everything else. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, let's have a look here and see how that actually looks model-wise. So I took it into Blender. And in Blender here, we can actually see what it's like. So we've got like all these areas that I've just shown you from that little video there. We've got all the areas that have like roads and archways and things like that. But when I look at it like this, from this kind of angle outside of the area, and I start kind of looking at it like this from up here, you kind of get the same impression that you'd get with New Home. So I'm honestly thinking that for like New Home, I can try and copy some of these buildings and some of the style, heck, even some of the the layout, right? Because I'm obviously going to be using like different textures and things, but I figure I can use this style and layout and stuff and model areas then that kind of look decent, so that you've got that detail there for looking down on the kingdom of the monsters essentially at the very end. And I can have that sort of like different height level and stuff like that, because that's what we're doing. We're just looking over into the distance and seeing this kind of thing, and it was just freaking me out because I'm like, I'm not exactly sure of what I wanted to do the other day with it. I'm just like, and the worst part was it's because of the floor, right? Because in Undertale, obviously, because we're so high up, you don't see the floor, but in 3D, depending on what I do with it, you can see everything. So I'm like, do I make it fog there? Do I go ahead and make the floor like in this? No, what do I do? So I've been kind of panicking a lot. That's the only problem when you do stuff in full 3D. You kind of have to account for stuff like this. So yeah, at the moment, what I'm thinking of doing is copying some of the Undertale models for New Home and mixing it with this kind of style. To get the detail in it, but obviously also to make up the bulk of New Home. And then having Asgore's place be like somewhere where you go in kind of like an archway here and you go in a little bit. And you go in through Asgore's place and then go down and then across and then come out again into another area where you've got, you know, kind of like this whole deal with the battlements here on the bridge, where you going across, you can see everything in the background, and then here is where we'll kind of like progress into the Judgment Hall. Obviously, this isn't the Judgment Hall. This is just me using Sonic as a bit of inspiration. But I figured that's the only way I can get this done that'll look decent. Primarily because otherwise I'm kind of freaking out and wondering what I should do. But yeah. Revenge and Kara says, well, gotta go also. I'll try and get these voice lines to you in a couple of days. That's fine, no rush. So yeah, what do you guys think about this plan so far to kind of get inspired by this and kind of copy its style a little bit to get a good floor plan and thing going on for New Home? Because at the moment it's kind of crazy. I know I've done some like crazy map pack game theory style tangents at the moment to get me to this point where I'm like, so anyway, I'm going to basically do a castle like exterior and stuff and interior, but hopefully, you know, this will speed things up by doing stuff similar to this. Just see what chat says now, because like, the feedback is kind of important. I've just been lazy, says Revenge and Kara. Everybody has their moments where it's just like, I don't feel like doing something today. You know, I do have to poke some of the VAs though to see how they're doing at the moment. So that'll be fun. Looks awesome. Don't envy that work, says Damon. Well, it's like, Damon, because you've just come in late, I'll show you what I actually am trying to accomplish, right? If you go off the artwork and everything else, I'm just going to quickly go back so I can show you what I'm after, and then you can chime in on the feedback, because I kind of need it. I'm kind of doing that whole thing where I'm just like, so anyway, I'm nervous. I kind of need help with ideas. Help! Okay, so here we go. So we're going to go through this again, just while you've turned up a little bit later and haven't seen what I'm going through. So this is the map of New Home from Undertale, the end of the game, essentially. And it's a very depressing and sort of very sad area that's devoid of all life. It's very desaturated, as you can see. It's meant to reflect Asgore and the monsters' sort of like depression. So I'm thinking of having everything kind of colored either very similar or just desaturate the ruins, because that would kind of make sense, or try and make it look as though there's dust everywhere. The idea being that it kind of reflects the fallen monsters from like the monster war at the beginning of the game, or just Asgore's depression. Either way, it's like the way that this works is we come from Hotland, we come up in a lift, and the lift starts us out in the bottom left here, and we progress around, and as soon as we get out of here, we have this massive shot of the city of the monsters, right? And this is supposed to show off where the monsters have finally settled, and this is referenced earlier on as like the new capital where everybody is. And as you can see, there are absolutely tons of buildings. You even go in between them at some point, so it makes sense to have this area be pretty fleshed out in 3D, so you can actually like see Frisk or the player walking in between everything. Then we go up into an area which is basically a reflection of the beginning of the game, where you're in the ruins with Toriel, so it's a reflection of home. Then we walk through here into another area, which it's not this small in game, it's actually pretty long. It's as long as this bit, I think. And then we get to the Judgment Hall, which is, it's almost like a church of sorts. And then we're into the castle. So my idea is, like I was showing then, using Sonic and the Black Knight as reference and Crash Bandicoot, the special level from the castle area for Crash Bandicoot. The idea is to kind of replicate that walk with this kind of atmosphere where you start off, you walk along an area that's got like walls next to it, then you go into a more open area that has none of these walls and you can see the town or the city from underneath. And it's supposed to kind of reflect in the stuff that I've just shown you in the map, but the only artwork we actually have from fans by that is really this one, which shows the castle in the distance. And then we've got this one, which is some really good line art of what I'm trying to do. And then we've got this one, which shows pretty much the same thing with Frisk and a Frogget here talking to each other as they're going along. The idea is to try and replicate this, and I'm like, I'll just take Sonic and the Black Knight style and just kind of do that. Like, what do you think about it for an idea? Because I'm thinking if I can just like copy some of the buildings and start laying them out in an area like this where it looks like I've got a full kind of ancient city there, I think that's going to be kind of good, because at the moment I'm just kind of panicking and going, oh my god, I have to build an entire civilization. Which is pretty crazy when you think about it. It was like, oh my god. Like, because we can make the walkway easy. That courtyard from Sonic would really suit the area you're thinking of. Yeah, exactly, right? I know my transitions, joke about it again, my transitions that I've used here, like showing off the Sonic one and the Crash Bandicoot one, I know those are pretty much like game theory transitions where it's like, so anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog, But no, I get a lot of my reference from stuff that I'm already familiar with. So using like this kind of thing here from Sonic and the Black Knight, where we can actually see it in game here, so you can see what it looks like, and then obviously you've got the 3D model as well. Doing something like this where I can see it fully, and I can like copy certain areas or take inspiration from bits. I think that's going to be helpful, especially because then I can, when I've done the buildings and things, I can also do roads and steps and things, so it'll make it look believable. And then we can have Frisk like lean over the side and have a look and see all those details, rather than just like do it from the side and it not be 3D, because it needs that sense of depth, because if you don't have it planned out properly, it's not going to look like a fleshed out realistic environment or one that's believable. It's just a facade, and I don't want it to be like that, because I was looking around in VR worlds last night, and there really is not that many VR worlds for New Home, and the ones that are there stick to it very closely. So again, it looks basically like the sprite version, but in 3D, and it doesn't work in 3D, So again, it's that whole thing, like, when I do these videos, I'm more looking for, you know, like people just to be like, yeah, maybe that'll work, maybe that won't. And I know that sounds terrible. It's more or less I'm looking for people to agree with what I'm doing. But I think if I was to rephrase it a little bit, what I'm doing essentially is looking at something and going, look, this is an idea that I had. This is a style that I think would suit it. Does it match? Yes or no, you know. But if Sonic sounds like it'll go well with it, then yeah, what I can do is I can start building up areas that look like this or very similar, and have it in the background. Because look at this. This just stretches forever, right? We got all these buildings that I have to make up. Then I have to make up the Judgment Hall as well. You know, and then I've got to consider stuff like roads and everything else. And in before Memes watches this and goes, dude, just do it the most simple way ever, you know, like with the Hotland video. It's like, how do I do this simple? You know, it's crazy, and trying to get it to be believable in 3D is pretty nuts. So yeah, I got my work cut out for me, especially with the way that this looks, but hopefully I can make some sense of it, right? So we have like battlements here. For this bit, honestly, we could have it be like battlements and then an archway, and then you go through to the other side of the battlements, and that kind of loops round with the elevator. And then we walk along this section of them with the city on the inside, and this could be on like the outside, or no. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible on myself. Maybe we just have it so it's, because when we come up here, this is going to be the furthest or closest point to the actual sun, so we can have like God rays coming down from the roof and everything in like holes from the ceiling. So I'm thinking here we have like maybe a tower, like a castle tower, or I think it's like a rampart or something. But then we have like stairs that are going round to the side of it, but they're broken off. They're just broken off at the side, so you can't really explore that way. That way, there's no reason to go that way. You know. So we go this way, and instead of having the save point over here, we can have it like on the stairs, or because I figure like if we have this looping round here, we can have it on the stairs just to the side, and have it loop round, and then loop round again, and then have the city there. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this in terms of like doing it with like a castle design or like a medieval design, just to make sense of it. But it's gonna be good. It's yet another cave. Like it's the topmost point of the underground, so it's gonna be another cave area, and then you just go through it with all this stuff. Good luck, man. If you need my help, just ask anything. Maybe I can use my years of medieval experience on medieval engineers. Hey, TPP. Maybe look at some worlds on medieval engineers could serve as inspiration. Ooh, interesting. I may take a look at that then. Because we've got... I'm trying to think if there's anything that matches this in Blender at the moment. Like, hang on. If we go back to Blender, right? And we, let's just drag. I'm having to drag OBS left and right here. So if I go to here, is there anything already like that in all of Camelot from Sonic? Just give me a sec. The funny thing about Sonic is you got all this background stuff that's not needed, but it's made so that it makes the world feel fleshed out in 3D, but you can definitely see what's an illusion and what's not. You know, because of the way that they've done it. So we come into Camelot Castle here, we go through to the edge. What it might be a case of doing is doing like they've done here, where they include like extra walls. It just makes sense. Hey Raiden. Nice to see you. That moment where I'm checking out people's builds on Mass Builder as well at the same time. Let's have a look. I got DM'd. That's by Damon for help. Let's see. Oh, dude, nice. Sandbox game about. Okay, let's check that out. Oh, nice. That actually does look pretty good. And if it's a sandbox game, then potentially I might actually get that mixed, because then I can use it for like reference. It's like a worthy investment for reference. Just make New Home and like a prototype of New Home and that, and then go ahead and see how it looks. Can you just slap all this together, Damon, like Minecraft? You know, where you go into building mode. Can you just like build stuff up without like destroying it or anything? Ryden says, have you seen the FNAF movie? Not yet. I would like to. Me and my wife have said we want to see it. We've been really hyped about it, including the part with everybody's favorite theorist. But we've yet to see it yet. Just wait for Damon to respond to my question here about, you know, medieval engineers. The heck is that? Is that actually the video from medieval engineers starting up on what? Yeah, it is. It accidentally started up there. I'm like, wait, what? Well, let's just put it on like an image or something for a moment. It does have a structural integrity system, but you can turn it off. I mean, like, if you go into it, Damon, and you just start up, I'm assuming you just start up like a world and then you can just start building. I'm assuming the moment you start up like a new world or whatever, you can just start selecting stuff and just start planting it wherever you want, right? Kind of like using Lego pieces or whatever. I mean, that's the way I'm assuming it works at the moment. I know you've said yeah to that. There's a survival mode, but creative lets you do that. Okay, yeah. So if I get that and then do it in there, then that'll give me a good idea. I'm gonna do that then. It's 100% what you think. Oh, dude, I'm gonna make that purchase then. Just was I'm trying to open up. Oh, that moment I'm trying to open up the wrong thing here. Ryden, while you're in here, it's not related to FNAF. Wait, we play Minecraft. No. Ryden, while you're in here, because you know Undertale as well, so I'll get your feedback on this. I'm looking at making all of New Home, right? So I'm thinking of doing it. Like almost exactly like it is in Undertale. You know, the fact that it looks really massive. And I'm just saying, with the stuff in the background, where I've got like this castle sort of setting on Blender and stuff. This is from one of the Sonic games. But do you think having something like this in terms of style would work for like the background of New Home if I just put it like that, and we just look at it from like that kind of angle? If we have like all the roads and everything, do you reckon something like that would work for New Home because of the buildings and everything else and the way that we get to see it more in 3D? I'm just searching up medieval engineers now on Steam at the same time. Wait, there's a deluxe version for free. Oh no, it's DLC. That moment where I'm trying not to get wrecked here for copyright and Steam keeps playing the freaking music over and over and over. The devs abandoned it and worked on Space Engineers. I mean, that's fair enough. Space Engineers is a good game. But yeah, if everyone's in agreement at the moment that this looks good in terms of inspiration, and then I can just kind of use the same textures that I've used on the ruins on this stuff, then yeah, we should be good. It's going to take a while, and I'm going to probably like go crazy doing it, which is why it's going to be good if I have a better plan, which is why Medieval Engineers is going to be a good purchase. Let's just use my PayPal here. I hate that. Does anybody else have that weird issue with Steam where your PayPal details just kind of, it's not like they don't work, but it's like you have an error. It's like I'm sat here and it says, you have an error initializing or updating your transaction. Please wait a minute or contact service, customer service. And I'm like, what now? Yeah, it's from Sonic and the Black Knight. It's from Sonic and the Black Knight. It's not going to be exactly the same as this, but what I'm saying is, do you reckon it's a good sort of like idea to do something kind of like this? That moment where I'm literally trying to use my my PayPal and it's just like not having it. Not having it at all. I have no clue why. I'm just gonna have to use my my card instead of PayPal, which is really weird. I'll get it for you, says Damon. You don't have to, Damon. Like, I can get it. It's just, I'm gonna have to find my card. Oh. And I need a drink as well eventually. Like, next video, I'll just like hop on in a bit and be like, so anyway, I'm doing New Home. But yeah, I figure using this as a representation is going to be decent. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll get engineers, like Medieval Engineers, and then I'll get back to you because I'll probably like do a stream just designing everything. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and I shall be back in a little bit. Bye.